There's a lot of talk about the Islamic State terror group in Syria and Iraq, about all those recent defeats. Just how strong is their affiliate in the Sinai Peninsula?
The affiliate in the Sinai is very strong. We've seen Islamic State's Wilayat Sinai wage a sustained insurgency against the Egyptian government for years now, and this is only a recent inflection in this continuing trend. But we've seen continued attacks against Coptic Christians, against Israel, and against Egyptian military forces.
Alexandra, as Islamic State loses ground in places like Iraq and Syria, is this an indication, perhaps in Sinai, we may see their affiliates step up operations in other theaters in the Middle East and beyond?
Absolutely. So as the Islamic State loses terrain in Iraq and Syria, we've seen increased complexity of attacks in peripheral theaters of operation, such as the Sinai and in Yemen. Recently, we've seen two different attacks that are quite complex, quite long. They're combining different means for combined effect. So we see things like using a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device in combination with small arms to create it's a complex attack that demonstrates that this is a very sophisticated organization.
Alexandra, the Egyptian government seems to have the same response now with that statement, use brute force if needed in the Sinai, a similar response to what we've heard for decades in Egypt, which is that a military response is the solution to attacks like this in Sinai. From your research, do you think that that is the path, or is the Egyptian government missing a key point here?
So Sisi's rhetoric is absolutely about brute force, but I think the actual strategy is a bit more nuanced than that. So we see in recent days more of an increased outreach to the tribes in the region, and this is a really important development. There absolutely needs to be a counterinsurgency approach here that works very closely with the tribes for intelligence, their cooperation, and ISIS clearly understands this as well, and they've worked very hard to try to deny the Egyptian government a tribal proxy. So they've specifically targeted the Tarbayin tribe that previously attempted to work with the Egyptian government to target the Islamic State. So I think despite the rhetoric of kind of a brute force approach, I think we're going to see something a bit more nuanced this time around.
All right, certainly a lesson being learned by leaders across the Arab world and the West about how to fight terror. That it's not just about airstrikes. It needs to be about much more than that.